Folks, as the Washington Wizards near the 2025 NBA draft, where they currently have two first-round picks, I think they could be making some trades, kind of around draft day, kind of to either trade up or try to trade a pick away or try to gain some picks in return because the Wizards have been active. They traded up in 2023 to get Bilal Coulibaly. They traded Denny Avdia last year to get Bub Carrington and then traded up to get Keyshawn George. This team likes to trade their second-round picks to get additional first-round picks. Will Dawkins is usually not quiet in terms of draft night trades, and I think that could be the case again this year. So I'm going to give you guys three trades that I think the Wizards should possibly consider trying to go for. And let's cue the intro. Hope you guys do enjoy. Again, we're just a few days away from the NBA draft. More coverage going to come right here on Chase's Sports News. If you are watching on YouTube and not you're watching on audio, please subscribe. Chase's Sports News on YouTube. A lot of cool content coming on over there. You would not want to miss it, especially as we start to preview NFL seasons, which will come in the next few weeks. Got some MLB stuff. It's a lot of fun. You're not going to want to miss it out. Again, subscribe to Chase's Sports News if you haven't already. All right, Washington Wizards trades they could possibly make on draft night or before. That could either have them trading away a draft pick or gaining a draft pick in the first round. First one that I like is possibly the Wizards adding another first with Utah. So essentially here are the details of the trade. The Washington Wizards will get John Collins' expiring contract and then a 2025 first-round pick, number 21 overall, that the Jazz got from Minnesota. For the trade to work, the Wizards have to give away some salary. They'll give away Corey Kispert's salary with 4 years on that deal, Saddiq Bey with 2 years on that deal, and then their number 40 overall second-round pick. Now, this may seem like Utah is getting fleeced on this trade. However, that's not true because technically, yes, John Collins is a better basketball player than Corey Kispert and Saddiq Bey. But he does not fit Utah's timeline. And oftentimes what's going to happen is like Memphis, you're just going to trade away an expiring salary. But when you do that, you have to trade away a mid to late first round pick to do that. And I think the Jazz are really going to want that John Collins salary off of the books because it is a lot of money, especially if they want to try to retool this roster this summer. So you give up number 21, which is okay because you already have the number 5 overall pick if you're Utah. And if you're satisfied with what you got at number 5, you don't need number 21. So you trade that away to get the Collins salary off the books. Instead, you get two more manageable salaries with Corey Kispert and Saddiq Bey, two guys who still have a lot of potential. Corey Kispert's a guy who could be 3-and-D, kind of a point of stability on this roster, especially one that's going to have a lot of fluctuation and a ton of change this summer. Meanwhile, Saddiq Bey still hasn't reached his full potential. When healthy, is a guy who could put up 15 points per game at a high level and play some decent defense. And they do get a little bit of a high second round pick here as well. So they could then use that to try to add some more talent. If they're not in love with anyone at 21, I think they consider this deal. As for the Wizards, this is a great deal because you get an additional first-round pick. You want as many as you can kind of around here. And if there are guys that are curious at taking in number 18, they decide not to take him, they could try to snag him here at number 21. And you take on the John Collins salary because you already don't really have much cap flexibility this summer. You are adding some salary in this deal. But essentially how the Wizards are planning is, look, you don't add anyone this summer. Next summer is when you prepare to roll up the sleeves and spend some money. When now, including this John Collins contract, you're going to have over $105 million to spend next summer. The Wizards are going to have more money than any team in the NBA. So just kind of double down on that and double down on the fact that you won't have money this summer, but that's okay because you're keeping yourself more flexible for future years. To me, this deal works. I think it works for both parties. And I think I think it would be a tougher ask for Utah to do this than Washington, but I still think Utah could consider it if they don't love anyone at number 21. This trade also involves the Wizards ending the Corey Kispert era in DC. It's them in Atlanta. And I gotta say, it's not that I'm not a fan of Corey Kispert, but he just doesn't fit the timeline between the fact that he's going to be making, up to, I think, $17 million in the final years of the contract, when the Wizards probably still aren't a really serious contender at that point. And he was hardly in a rotation right now. You're going to want, especially with 2 first-round picks, maybe adding some other guys, you're going to want some flexibility in your depth chart. And if Corey Kispert's not playing, his value is going to continue to go down in a trade. So now might be the time to trade him when it looks like he's finally developing his own shot. He could drive to the rim, but yet he's not going to reach that full potential like an all-star that you could eventually use later down the line. So that's why I think Corey Kispert should be considered in trades, especially now with a contract that's somewhat tradable in the meantime before it gets too unmanageable in the later years. So I also say, look, you want to add another first-round pick? Hey, Atlanta, I'm going to call the phone. I'll give you guys Corey Kispert, speaking as if I'm Will Dawkins. Wizards give the Hawks Corey Kispert and the number 40 overall pick, which is early in the second round, and the Wizards in exchange get number 22. This is a tough ask for Atlanta because you're asking them to give up a first-round pick that they got from the Los Angeles Lakers. But I think they considered this trade because, again, like some previous teams, they have a lottery pick. If they're satisfied with what they have there, they kind of aren't on a two-timeline build right now. Yes, you have Zachary Ricochet, but you have Trae Young. You're still trying to win now. That number 22 pick might not accomplish that. How about, though, a 3-and-D player who can contribute to winning basketball like Corey Kispert? I think that will personally fit what they're trying to do right now more because at a guy like number 22, you're going to want to give him the ball. You're going to want to give him some sort of keys to the offense, and you're going to want to allow him to develop. Trae Young's not going to be satisfied with that. And if you want to keep Trae Young in Atlanta and you want to try to contend if you're the Hawks, you instead get a guy like Corey Kispert who doesn't demand the basketball, but yet can work really well alongside other guards, is a great catch-and-shoot three-point shooter, and a decent defender, an area he's improving on. And then you still get kind of an early second-round pick here where they could still kind of get someone and try to plan for the future. I mean, look, the Hawks still get to keep their top first-round pick. They have cap space, so they can afford to do this trade without giving away any other players as well. Now, I don't think they do this unless they have plans on re-signing Garrison Matthews this summer. If Garrison Matthews is coming back, I think that defeats the purpose of trying to trade for Corey Kispert because I think they play similar roles. But I think Corey Kispert's a much better player than Garrison Matthews. And if you have the contractual flexibility to make that happen, I think this trade would make sense. For the Wizards, you get off of that 4-year salary. Again, you get that additional first-round pick. And Will Dawkins is not afraid to trade second-round picks. He did it to get a first-round pick for next summer. He's done it multiple times now. And you're not even taking on a salary in this one like you are for the last trade I just mentioned. So I think this trade, again, would work for both parties. I think it's a tough ask for Atlanta for sure, but I think it could definitely make sense for both parties. And I'm sorry, Corey Kispert, Wizards fans, but I also have him involved in my third trade that I have proposed for Washington Wizards fans. This one is a tough ask on both sides, but I think it works for both sides as well. Hope you guys did enjoy. Those are 3 trades I think the Wizards should consider as we near the NBA draft. More coverage on the NBA draft, both for the Wizards and just in general, is going to be right here on Chase's Sports News. If you're listening on audio platforms, please go over to Chase's Sports News and hit that subscribe button. A lot of great content over there this summer. You're not going to want to miss out on it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Signing off, I'm your host, Chase Coburn. Again, 3 trades that the Wizards can make because you know they are going to be active on draft night. Take care.